What's up, y'all? Welcome back to the ONE THE PRST Podcast, where we interview movers, shakers, entrepreneurs, business people, anyone on a pursuit of accomplishing amazing things in the pursuit of their goals and dreams. And on today's episode, we got an amazing person. We got the #1 public speaking coach. This man has garnered over $1 million in paid talks since he's been a speaking coach. And during the pandemic specifically, he helped his clients amass over $500,000 in paid talks. And we're talking about dollars here, US currency. So without further ado, let me introduce my guy, Stan Pearson.
Yo, Brendan, thanks for having me. Great to be here. Thanks for the amazing introduction too.
Oh, bro, well deserved. And look, the hat's fire, and you're kind of intimidating me right now. So let me throw on
the I needed something. I appreciate it.
You know what I'm saying? Let me feel like I'm part of this thing, bro. You know?
I like it. I like the shirt too, man. I love it.
Yeah. I mean, yo, you got on the Go Activity shirt, bro.
Thank you. Just in case. This is always, to make sure I'm reminded to try and be the greatest of all times at what I do. So,
well, I'm gonna tell you like this. I know high level Go Activity. There ain't no trying. You either are or you working towards it.
Period.
We already know that, man. So, bro, listen, I'm very excited. I'm actually very excited. It's not really early today, but I'm gonna let you know I haven't really done any ONE THE PRST Podcast episodes in the morning. So you're actually my first morning.
Thank you for taking me.
Fresh out the gym, so the energy is on a level. And like I said, to be honest, bro, like we met through the Make More Offers 5-day challenge, and immediately, like I was just drawn to you. I think what you do is very, very unique. I think what you do is something that you could teach everyone. Like wherever you are, you can learn this skill. So I think it's very, very important that people that are listening, that are watching, definitely take a lot of your nuggets and apply them. And obviously, we'll give you some time at the end. Obviously, if you want a little bit more intimate time with Stan and want to learn his processes, learn his frameworks, grab his blueprint, definitely will allow you to connect with him. But bro, look, what you do is amazing, man. And I'm happy that you're on this platform. So I want to know, how have you been able to amass over $1 million for yourself in paid speaking, bro?
Thank you for saying that. And what I'm going to do first, I'll mention the first step I think everybody should do in a moment. I'm just literally going to take you back to when I was just a younger dude. And I listened to a lot of people have heard of, let's say, Les Brown. Some people have heard of Zig Ziglar. Like I literally in elementary school and Zig Ziglar, that's what I was listening to in the morning, getting ready for school. Like my parents were always, playing Zig Ziglar and cassette tapes at the time. And he also had little jingles that talked about like, get that stinking thinking out of here. Like he had jingles. I was saying like, don't boil the bull. Like some of what his famous talks or phrases were made into jingles that I was listening to before I was even a teenager. And I think part of that got into my DNA. And then along the way, I really enjoyed communicating with people. And when I realized it could be a superpower if you were willing to listen and then connect, I was like, I feel at home in this place, especially when I realized there are a lot of people that were like me in my experience. And if I found a way to help people throughout their journey or help people solve their problem or get along the way of solving their problem, then I could be good at it. So I always tell people that I don't necessarily change lives. You hear that, right? When you're a speaker, you're good, or you do it at a high level, people will tell you that you've changed their life. But I think that my true gift is giving people the right tools to change themselves. I want the people listening to take the credit, because then there's more ownership. Now they know that, I did this with the help or with the tools that someone else provided. So that's a long answer to that short start of the question. And beyond that, let's say from a tactical standpoint, like identifying your industry, that's really, really important. So I worked for a university out of college. My first job out of college was at Enterprise Rent-A-Car. Long story short, I left them and I decided to pursue my MBA at an institution. And then while I was there, I owned a Latin dance studio. I was working full time, pursuing my MBA full time. And I started to advise students, clubs, and organizations. I had to create leadership conferences. And every once in a while, we would have to go to other schools. And then I would speak on behalf of the school. And that was the beginning. And that's when I ultimately was like, okay, I like this audience. They help me stay sharp. They're going to keep me on my toes. They're going to be honest. This is the industry I want to start in. And I think for clarity's sake, if you're able to identify your industry early and dive in with, jump in with both feet, that's going to make the journey so much easier. And that's what's allowed me to really thrive in my space. And then it's like people from other industries will find out you're good and ask you to come speak for them. But I decided, okay, colleges, that's my industry. I'm going in deep. And that has literally helped me just grow exponentially over time and help others grow too.
So let's recap a little bit. So you identified what your superpower was.
Yeah.
Then you also identified the connection that you felt when you heard other people speak. And Zig Ziglar was someone that was almost programmed into your subconscious, because not only were you listening to his speeches, but you were also listening to the jingles. And as we know, music is so powerful now because it don't really matter what the words are. Because if you catch that melody, whether it's positive, negative, or indifferent, you're gonna start reciting those words most likely. That's what happens when music has a certain melody and it's catchy, right?
For sure.
You catch yourself saying the craziest things. You're like, oh, but it's a vibe, you know?
Yeah, throughout time, I probably like songs I shouldn't like or don't like anymore. I'm like, I didn't even realize what they were saying. I pull up lyrics.com or something like that. Go, yeah, but man, it was so again, way back then, it's like he had a blueprint. Others might have been doing that, but the jingle thing, because I haven't listened to definitely haven't listened to a cassette tape in decades, but I can still remember the jingles super clear.
So I want to tap back into this 1 million, because I know a lot of people want to know about this 1 million, how you got there. So what made you realize that, okay, the college market was a good niche for you to tap into? And were there other niches that you were playing around with? Because I know you mentioned once people, hear that you're good or see that you're doing something, you catch some momentum, they're going to also want you to come over and speak for them or for their business or their employees or whatever the case may be. Cool. But what was it about that college market? I mean, you said you liked that audience, but what was about that you saw, okay, this is my audience and they got the money to pay?
Cool. So I think everyone needs to realize that even though it seems like, dots aren't connecting, everything it's in a different kind of straight line. So when I was in undergrad, I remember going to hear a speaker speak. And I was always respectful of speakers, whether I thought they were good or bad. I heard a dude that was not very good. And then someone mentioned, I was nearby, and like, oh yeah, we have to go get your check. I'm like, check? All right. Anyway, person leaves. I go to the person put on the event. I'm like, how much did we pay him? Because, as a student, a lot of folks don't know that there's Student Government Association that pays for speakers, campus activities boards, camp, TRIO, SSS. These are all Gear Up. These are all grant funded organizations that have money to pay. Anyway, they said something to the tune of $4,500. And I immediately thought, for that?
How long was that particular guy speaking for? Was that an hour or was that less?
60 minutes.
Okay, yeah, so about an hour.
Yeah, about an hour, my bad. Yeah, about an hour. It's like, he was not, I'm like, I'm better than that. I'm in college at the time. I'm like, I'm better than that guy. Anyway, fast forward, I'm working at a school and a part of my job function was hiring speakers. And I happened to have a boss that was good. He knew good speakers. And then we began to bring them in. And then I also, like when I was bringing in speakers, I'm like, I actually want to get to know that person. I'm bringing them in just so I can chop it up with them, and I pick them up from the airport, drop them off. So anytime I connected with someone, I was always trying to get some more info, and we were paying them anywhere between $2,500, maybe the most at the time we paid was $5,000. If we had, let's say, a weekend retreat, maybe it was $7,000. Now in the college market, that's not as known. That doesn't happen as often unless let's say you're famous, unless you're doing some consulting work. But generally speaking, the general speaker, my advice when I coach people is anywhere from $2,500 to $5,000 to $5,500K in the college market is safe unless you're a celebrity, you have another offering, or you have a crazy, ridiculous story or a journey that you've been on that people are willing to pay for. So there's some topics that will pay you more depending on how you market them. And outside of that, I tell people, if someone calls me and they ask me, hey, can you do this for $1,000? I know one of two things. They're not used to booking speakers, or they've only had brand new speakers. That's it. And from a negotiation standpoint, this is a little bit outside of the scope of the question you're asking me. I always let people know too, you can always go down, you can never go up. So literally this happened to me a couple weeks ago, no lie. Someone said yes too fast. And I knew I shot too low. I was like, oh, okay, boom, it's 5,200. Okay, great. I was like, I knew, like I did it to myself. I was rushing, moving throughout my day, returning phone calls, and instead of pausing and breathing, taking it all in, shooting them a number based on what they needed that day, I definitely could have gotten, I think for sure, $8,000 for what they needed, or $7,000 for what they needed. I was like, okay.
Hold up. I want to make sure people are processing this, because there's some people that are at work right now. There's probably even entrepreneurs that are probably making money, in another area or their particular lane.
Got it.
What Stan just said was there are universities and businesses. They have budgets. A lot of these budgets are grant funded.
Yeah, some of them by grants. Yep.
They need to spend the money.
Got to.
They want to spend the money.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And you could get on average on the low end, or at least if you're in the college market, on the safe end, like you put it, 25 to 55 to speak for an hour.
Yes.
I don't know how many people right now have a job where they're making $2,500 to $5,500 for 1 hour of their time. So if you're paying attention to this, if you're listening to this, if you're watching this, I just want you to just like absorb that for a second. My guy right here is giving you the blueprint, dropping a lot of gems, and letting you know through the power of story, the power of words, the power of sharing and standing in your power of being confident enough to connect with people on a level who want to be connected with.
Yeah. Like people want
you to make 25 to 55 on average while you're starting.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
For sure. It's funny, my first paid talk, again, I didn't know anything. So there's some brand new people here who don't know anything yet. My first paid talk was for $700. One of my business partners, great guy, great speaker. When he first started, his first paid gig was $700. Because you don't know what you don't know. And $700 for an hour is when I ever been paid an hour before. So for sure, my life I was changed. I was changed when somebody was willing to pay me that amount. I'm like, yo, if one person will pay me, like maybe the other people will pay me. And the thing is, like, listen, people don't know you're new unless you tell them, or unless they can tell. Those two things, Some people, oh, I'm a new speaker. Oh, okay. So they know they can lowball you then, respectfully. Because if you're willing to say that you're new, then they know that you shouldn't be charging a certain amount. Because people they'll check on your social media. They'll go to your website. They'll do those things because they have to go, okay, can I justify these funds for said person? And there are people out there that get paid much more money to speak based on what their offering is. But again, there's student service fees. I'll call them that for lack of a better word. I may be saying it wrong. So let's say at any institution you could think about, every student pays a student activities fee to some degree. Maybe it's $30 a student or whatever. It's some number. And then that's multiplied by the number of students around campus. And then it's budgeted out to different offices or student life or student affairs or what have you. And then they have those funds to spend on things that matter. So that's one pocket of opportunity. And then there are the grant-funded organizations that I mentioned. And to your excellent point, they have to spend it on something. So if you're an author, if you're a speaker, sometimes they're like, we don't have a speaker budget, but we have a books budget. So maybe we buy your books and you come to speak, or maybe we just buy your books, or we buy your program that you have that they can log into. Like there's so many different angles. I was at a college recently, and it hit me. I was like, whoa, there's 7 different offices here that have the ability to book me. Now that means you're grinding. So that meant in this particular case, Student Life, the Student Government Association, Campus Activities Board, they usually partner up. And then there's, athletics. I didn't think about the athletic department that has the ability. And then there's intramural services. Just about every institution has intramurals. And then there's the grant fund. So that's for typically first generation students or college readiness programs. There might be 3 or 4 grant funded organizations or offices on a campus, depending on how big it is. And all that to say, and I'll be quiet after this, is that people generally only think about the schools that they've heard about. Oh, I've heard about Ohio State University. I've heard about Georgia State, Missouri Western, that's my alma mater, or Texas State. I've heard about those schools. There are thousands of schools that you've never heard of in your entire life that cut checks. They pay too. And if you understand that, then the game completely changes, because if I wanted to speak 1,000,000 times a year, 1,000, I couldn't handle that. And that's from a travel standpoint. I don't even want that anymore, but it's out there virtually and in person. It's there now.
So Stan, well, first of all, thanks for sharing that. Cause like you just literally showed people where the money's at and who's trying to spend it. And all you gotta do is really go collect it and open your mouth.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Think about it. There's rent. Okay, let's bring it back to like video games, Like,
yeah.
There's random 2,500, 3,500, 5,500 bags.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
All around.
Yeah.
All you need to do is use your mouth, cut a deal, and then go collect them. Just go collect them.
Somebody's going to go get it. It's kind of like being on TV, because that's something that you can it's like meeting celebrities, being able to leverage. Being on TV is, if we know that, let's say, bullying awareness is in November or something like that, or mental health awareness is in a particular month, and then we begin to market to a station. This is slightly off base, but I promise I'll bring it home. We begin to market to that station, send them emails. Hey, I offer this. This would be great for a segment. Boom, I'm marketing directly to their issue that I can help them solve that problem. And for me to be on television, it's not going to cost me anything unless I want to market my particular service. But right now, I just want FaceTime. Okay, most people understand that. When it comes to speaking, same thing. If it's Women's History Month that we know is in March, if it's Hispanic Heritage Month that's coming up September 15th to October 15th, that's a moment to market to. Obviously, there's Black History Month in February. That's a month too. There's all these different months also that one can market to. So imagine when I started, I didn't want to be the Black History Month speaker. I wanted to speak all the time. So I didn't market directly to that month. I had a session for it, but I didn't market directly to it. But I knew people who did. So let's say if you had a 9-to-5, you're like, you know what? I'm just going to create something for February. That's it. Or I'm just going to create something for Hispanic Heritage Month. That's it. I'm just going to create something for Women's History Month. That's it. And for March or for September, October, for February, I'm going to try and get booked and make an extra 10 grand for the year. And then I'm going to be good. I'm going to keep my part-time job. Like that happens. Some people do that. And that's a great way to supplement your income. Like, get your system together, get your marketing together, get your message together. Or Alcohol Awareness Month. Again, there's certain topics that get paid year round that you can market. And if you're willing to plug your story into one of those topics, you put yourself in a position to get paid for what you want.
So what I wanted to touch on with you is that you seem incredibly poised, confident. It's clear that your self-belief is high.
Thank you. Yeah.
Right? So there's a lot of listeners. There's a lot of viewers. There's a lot of people that may not even take a look at this or listen to this for a while.
Yeah.
That are suffering from low self-esteem, low confidence, low vibrations. They don't really have a high level of self-worth and self-belief. So thinking about speaking, the way we've been conveying it makes it sound like it's easy and it's just doable. But you have to first work on that part.
Yeah.
So if you're someone that may be a little bit, subdued, if you're someone that may be a little bit shy, timid, or maybe your self-esteem is a little low, how would you advise or coach someone in that position just to get them up. And then where does your self-esteem and self-confidence derive from?
Man, thank you so much for the great question. I tell people this often. A lot of people go to the gym. Why? Because they work out, or they wish they could, or they want to work out because they want to be physically healthy. But the brain is the strongest muscle we have. I tell people all the time, like, ask yourself, when was the last time you lifted some mental weights? What does that mean? Whether it's listening to podcasts or reading books or listening to audio books. But now I listen to those things more than I listen to the radio or music. I just
Bro,
do.
I
You know?
the same, the
Yeah.
same. I don't even watch. Somebody was like, and not to cut you off because
No, please.
you're really bringing it right there. But one of my friends hit me up and was like, "Yo, you want to join this fantasy league?" I'm like, "No."
Yeah.
And another one hit me up and they're like, "Yo, did you see what happened with the Patriots just dropped such and such and they got a new?" I'm like, "No idea, fam.
No
No
idea.
idea. I don't even watch sports. You know what I'm saying? If I'm watching sports, it's like me watching sports now is I'm bored if I'm watching sports.
Yeah. And I never thought that would be the case.
Never thought it was gonna be a
I mean, I love sports, but I'm like, I love myself more. So it's funny because it was like, oh, stat, a game is coming on. I'm like, okay, I'm chilling. No, I'll check out the game. Like that's what happens because now I feel like now I'm in tune with playing my own sport. Like I'm trying to win in this other way, and I'm constantly just kind of working on me. And so for someone who is shy or they've been through something, I always tell folks it's important to check on yourself every single day. Maybe you go, okay, on a scale from 1 to 10, how do I feel? 1 being, 10 being, I feel amazing. And then identifying that number and how you got there. Because we can't change something unless we've identified the very thing that put us there. So some of us are trying to grow from places we don't know where we've been or where we've come from. So it makes that mental growth different. It makes it more difficult. But we have to be willing to go, all right, listen, I'm not gonna, this is controversial. I'm not gonna watch, let's say, toxic or promote destructive behavior. I'm not gonna watch that TV. Instead, I'm gonna check out this podcast or this audio book, or I'm gonna watch a comedy on TV because that makes me feel better than something that's dramatic or a thriller. Because our brain can't tell the difference between what's movie drama and drama. It's all the same. So long story short is I'm super intentional now about not just what I watch, but how I walk. Like how I walk. Like I do my best to walk with purpose, shoulders back. Like not I'm I sound crazy to say this, but slow walkers like almost irritate me. Like slow walkers and slow like people I just want like it bothers me now because I feel like listen, you have something to say. Like say it like you mean it. Like use your voice. It's the first gift you were like use that thing. So I work on again the way I walk, the way I talk, the way I dress. Again, a lot of the shirts I wear have a saying on them because even if I forget who I'm trying to be, as soon as I hit a mirror, I'm reminded. Like this is all premeditated. And for someone that's just getting on that journey to start, let's say, being more confident, these are the small things that I do. Again, I work on my walk. I give authentic compliments when I'm engaged in a conversation. Like, yo, I love your shirt. I meant that. But when you're telling people good things about themselves, it becomes a reflection of you. Or, when we hit each other up, it's like, yo, I want more of that. I want more of that good feeling. Like I want to thrive. I want to be better. And I've really found that I had to, I say this, I think one of my best pieces of advice is it's pay for your friends.
Bro, listen, I'm with you on that. One of my mentors says the same thing. And I'm like, yep, I bought him, I bought her, I bought them. We homies now.
That's it. Yo, anywhere we went to that matters, we paid to get in. Some of the best food we have outside, like we paid to get in a club, a lounge. We pay to get closer to the things that matter. I met my wife in a club, like that I never go to, never went there much after we met, but I paid to get in, paid for dinner, clubs and organization. I'm a part of I paid for that. How do we know each other? We paid.
Yeah,
we paid with time and dollars.
Yeah.
And there is sometimes we kind of wait for things to happen. And now I realize, all right, there's some things that I can't control. The things that I can control. And if I know that, let's say good people hang out here, the people that have the things that I say I want, if they hang out here, I'm paying to get in there and spend some time. So I think collectively, all those things will help someone that's brand new to this world of, let's say, self-help or building from the inside out. Really helps, because what you know this, no matter, what you put on the outside, no matter how much money you might be making or the name brand clothes you have or the cars you might drive, none of that can hide an empty self. Can't. We know this. We know people that have a lot of bread who've lost themselves, who've committed suicide, who've fallen to drugs and alcohol abuse and overdose. We know that. And if we know that to be true, then we have to make sure we do a better job of, again, lifting our mental weights.
100%. I mean, I think to even expand on that, I like how you put that mental weights. It made me think of like mental athletics.
Hey.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Your mental athletics. So as you're moving into your space in the beginning of your journey, at what point did you realize you could amass 7 figures with speaking?
Cool.
What did that seem? What did that look like?
Once in part, it was like I almost had to, really. I feel like some people have to be drugged to greatness. And so in this case, I finished my MBA. I started working for a consulting firm based out of Atlanta. Super long story short, I got laid off unexpectedly and entered into one of the darkest moments of my life, for sure, 100%. Matter of fact, I literally got fired on my day off. I was in my suit. 2 of the other coworkers, like, we were told to come to the headquarters of the company, and it was in Midtown Atlanta. We're suited. I thought I was actually being sent to Mexico because I speak Spanish. So I thought I was being sent to Mexico for a new assignment. We show up, they're like, "Oh, what are you doing here?" Anyway, we go into the VP's office. He lays us off and promises not to, and says that we'll get 2 weeks severance as long as we don't file a grievance. I filed a grievance. And I did not. I filed a grievance, and so I didn't get the 2 week severance pay. But what I did have is because we had our, company credit cards. I had some money on the company credit card, and they sent us a check to pay it. I got the check, and I'm like, okay, I got to figure out how to live for these next until I make something happen. Man, it was the most humbling time of my life. I was living out of my car for a bit. None of my friends knew. Because I had the cool job because I was always flying, consulting. So I didn't want to tell anybody, didn't want to tell my parents. It's because I did everything I was supposed to do. I went to school, never got in trouble. I was a decent human being, and I got laid off. And it was in a toxic life at the time and relationship even. And finally, I started to kind of hang out at the gym more, playing basketball and working out, and just met people that began to invite me to places. And I would say no because I wanted to stay feeling sorry for myself. But through that, I started to put more of my thoughts that I had before just on paper. It's like that was the time that I actually wrote my first book because I had time. And then all the contacts I had before, I'm like, yo, let me reach out to people that knew me before when I was really trying to speak, because I always said I wanted to speak. Like, now there's no time. Like now so when I tell you I was on the phone, I was sending emails, and then I got my first gig because someone that wanted to book me like a year and a half ago, like a year and a half before this happened, like that came up right on time. I got that $2,500 check. I can tell you, Shriner University, I always shout, the person, the contact there, Jennifer Busquet, that check came right on time. And it was like, okay, all right. And from then on, they're at booking conferences. And I went to every booking conference I could go to or that I could afford. I called every person I could have possibly called that was in a position to book me. And that was when it, like, again, $2,500 check, another one. Okay, that's $5,000. Okay, another that's $7,500. Okay, I did that in 3 weeks. $7,500 in 3 weeks. Oh snap! And at the time I invested in this coaching program that kind of taught me how to mass mail. I did not have a brochure. I was like, I'm gonna make a brochure. It was like this, like a 3-part brochure I had that had programs that I'd never delivered yet, but I knew they were good. I got it made, and then I sent out a mailing to like 2,000 people, like a mailing. A lot of people don't direct mail anymore in the industry as much. But at the time, I sent out a direct mailing to 2,000 people. What did it cost me? $400 like to mail it. And in like 2 weeks, I got 7 calls. I closed maybe 4 of them. I was like, oh snap, 2,500. Somebody needed me for 2 days. So when numbers started multiplying like that, I was like, all right, if I commit to this 100%, because I didn't have a job. I got laid off. I didn't have a part-time job, and I was super proud. So I was like, no, I'm not taking assistance. I don't want to, be on unemployment. So that was my other like pride. I'm not getting unemployment. I'm just gonna grind. And that's when I knew that, like, yo, if you stick to this, you can make good money and be all right. Yeah. And that was, again, a very long answer to your short question, but I just kind of wanted to give some context of how it got there. But I was willing to, walk more than I was talking.
I did the math in my head, man. So if you're charging, let's say you're charging 5,000 to speak on average, you're getting about 5,000 to speak. Mm-hmm. All you need is 200 speaking engagements. That's $1 million.
Isn't that crazy?
It's 200 speaking engagements, $1 million. And some of these people may not even want you to speak for the whole hour.
People listen. If you're listening, watching this, what Brendan just said, that the first time someone was like, nah, just 20 minutes and you're done. I was like, but I got more. We just need 20 minutes. I couldn't believe it. You'll find that happens. It doesn't happen a lot, but it happens more than you would think. Like, no, we know your program is an hour and 15 minutes, but we just need you for 35, 45 minutes. And then afterwards, they got stuff to do. So it's not like they will, especially now, because of, the pandemic and all, they won't want to, you don't have to stick around. The school I was at last, matter of fact, I told the person, this is just how I operate. I'm like, hey, you don't have to worry about introducing me. You hired me to do the work. You just go sit back and relax. I got it. When it was over, Stan, you need anything? I'm great. Okay, see you later. Like, that's literally what happened. I had 2 sessions in one day. But she came back, same conversation. Okay, thank you. Talk to you. They didn't need anything else from me. And that's a crazy thing. That's what people also have to understand is you might be thinking, oh, man. Now, sometimes they want you exactly for what they asked you to do, and they want to get on with their life. Yeah, so it was absolutely, to your point, absolutely.
So it's super possible. You've done it.
Yeah.
It's super possible for someone to make 7 figures with public speaking.
For sure. For sure.
And I just want to make sure people are listening and watching and paying attention. And there's organizations out there that have the money to spend.
1,000,000%. And this is what I'm also going to say. I think it's easier now. What I told you that I did, man, when I tell you, a super grind. Like, I was standing at booths at conferences. I was talking like I was hustling. At the time, obviously automation was not a thing for real. The digital marketing was not a thing at all at that time. Sending emails was not as sophisticated as it is now. The virtual landscape, again, during the pandemic, the meat of it. And when I say the meat of it, when the world shut down. Shortly after that, that's when we help clients do amazingly well virtually. So just now, from being able to email versus call, if you're not down for calling, like being able to email, being active on social media, it really can create an amazing opportunity for you, period. Again, as you do the math, whether it's 200 gigs over how many gigs do you want to do over the course of the next 3 to 5 years? What do you want your fee to be? I tell folks, if you're a pro, if you know what you're talking about, because let's say I could help you shape what you're talking about. I can help. So if you know what you're talking about, your average low fee should be $2,500. If you're negotiating below that, well, then maybe they're providing some marketing. Maybe they're providing some press. Maybe they are promoting you or referring you to 3 other contacts in lieu of that $2,500 that they're not able to meet. But outside of that, you can go, okay, for this year, and this is super doable if you do what someone coaches you to do and you commit to it. Again, you could get 10 gigs in a year. And if that's $2,500, I don't know, what's that, 25 grand? I think whatever, right? It's 25 grand extra. That you're able to do that if you just kind of follow a framework, commit. Again, the very first thing I mentioned is identifying your industry. So even if, whether it's speaking at colleges, youth organizations, I'm not into corporate as much. I've done a couple of corporate gigs and I've facilitated some corporate panels and done some trainings. I'm not an expert in getting booked to speak at corporate, even though I've done it. I know people who are. Like, you're talking about college and youth, there are very few people, if better, to teach folks how to do that at a high level and in a space where they can keep their own voice. Like, it's super doable. It's really doable, especially even for new folks. It's really doable.
How fast can someone that's totally green, never spoke before, working with you, your program, the services you provide, for them to, gain that confidence, that consistency, and possibly get their first, paying gig speaking? How long is that process for someone that's never done it before? That's like, you know what, this sounds interesting to me. I want to, hit stand up and see what's up. How long would you say on average it may take somebody to book after they go through your process?
I would say fairly 6 months to a year, for sure. Like at the end of a year, for sure. If you've done what you're supposed to do, what's in your power to do, there's literally no reason why you're not in a position to get paid to speak. Literally no reason. Matter of fact, I would teach you how to create your own smaller event, virtual or in person, to get paid to speak. Or you may find yourself speaking to sell. That means you have a service that you want to provide. You can teach someone when they're in person and then sell it afterwards. Either way, though, I would easily say 6 months to a year, because I also do a great job of providing some leads as well as connecting people with decision makers. What does that mean? That means that if you are in this 4-week intensive, at the end of that, and I bring in 5 of my friends who have paid me, and then you get to ask them questions on how can I get paid? What's the easier? How do we, get over the easiest barriers of entry? What are some things that I shouldn't do that I should do? And those, again, based on investing in those relationships, very few people are going to say, hey, here are 5 people that I know cut checks for this. Ask them whatever questions you have. Because again, it's that kind of info that you don't have to shoot in the dark. You literally can go, okay, this makes sense to me.
So if you're an artist, like a recording artist, a rapper, a singer, how easy does that translate to speaking? Because someone that's rapping right now or singing right now, who's on the grind to get their music out,
yeah,
how easy would it be for them to just segue into speaking while they're working on that album or that project or that single? Get money over here while they're working on this thing over here.
They should. Number one, because they have a celebrity factor. Like, they don't understand, like, in their own, in celebrity is a relative term. I say I'm celebrity mindset consultant. The people who need to know me very well. So sometimes people think, like, to be a celebrity, I have millions of people have to know. No, the people who are important to you, if they know you, you're super good. So if I'm a recording artist, I'm doing a creative writing session. I'm absolutely teaching people, whether it's spoken word or how to write their own song. And then if I play an instrument, guess what I'm doing? Either virtually or on campus, I have my instrument with me, my guitar, my keys, my drums, whatever it is, I'm setting it up and I'm letting people work through their song with me for an hour. How amazing is that? Most people have never worked with a professional artist before at all. But imagine showing up with your guitar and letting people sing or talk with you. Now, what you could also do in conjunction with that is crazy. I never thought of this before, but this would be great if I knew how to do it. You could literally go, okay, if I'm a recording artist, then I'm teaching them how to do creative writing. And maybe I'm plugging that into how to be a better leader, how to build community, because we all know how powerful music is. We know that. So you can easily plug into, all right, this song is about how to be a better leader. This is why I wrote this song. This song is about how to overcome or how to deal with transitions, because we've all been through transition. This particular song is about differences and diversity. So I'm saying that because maybe this song is about the pain I experienced with substance abuse, and maybe I lost somebody what I am saying is you can literally pick a topic, and those topics I just mentioned are topics that are getting paid to speak often. Leadership, diversity, networking, substance and alcohol education, or abuse education, relationships. Those are all things that are being booked. If they could plug that in, their art into one of those topics, it's new, it's fresh, and that's giving, let's say, a leadership talk in a creative way. So for me, one of my main talks that I got started with is called The Salsa Life. And that's literally, I teach people how to salsa dance, about Latin culture and instruments while they're learning how to salsa dance. That's a creative twist on leadership. How many people do that? Not very many, if any. There are a couple folks that they heard about me years ago and started to try and do something similar. But I was already established as that go-to. And now I treat it like people are going to copy you. I treat it like Halloween. When I was growing up, I was definitely MC Hammer. He's my favorite of all time. But I was definitely Michael Jackson. I was definitely Urkel. Those guys they weren't upset that I copied them and I wanted to be them for Halloween. Why? Because if they showed up, people knew who the real one was. And as long as you dig deep on what it is you're supposed to be and who you're supposed to be, people will know when the real one shows up. I think Cat Williams, what do you say? Like everyone says, like a 300 looks like a phantom until a phantom roll up.
Yeah.
It's the same thing with us in our industry. Like people know that you're you, period. So there could be some other people pretending to be Brendan until Brendan show up. Then like, oh. So anyway, all that being said, if I were a recording artist, I would do that quickly because there are singer-songwriters that are in the college market who are doing well, that they could charge more if they added that to their repertoire. If there were more singer-songwriter workshops, if they allowed people to sing with them, imagine them creating a song with someone while they were doing their program or with the audience. That would be crazy. That'd be crazy.
First of all, Stan, if you're a recording artist and you're listening and watching this, you just literally gave them 3 to 4 additional ways to monetize on their talents and their gifts right now. Right now, while you're in the studio working on that project, right now, while you're working on that TikTok piece of content, or while you're working on that long form YouTube piece of content, you can take what you're currently doing because you obviously want to get your song out, but you could be making several bags over here in the process. That will probably pay you faster. And you can take that money and put it back into your dream to make it in the industry. Yeah. Because now you got all this marketing budget.
Yeah.
You can pay for them features.
Yeah.
You can upgrade your lifestyle faster.
Crazy. Can I say one more thing? One more thing.
I mean, bro, of course. This episode is for you. This is your episode, of course.
When I give good ideas to people, I tell them, I'm like, listen, all right, you don't owe me 6 figures for what I'm about to tell who's ever listening. This, again, what I would do. And it's funny, in my coaching, I tell people, I'm like, yo, this is what I do, and it works. You might figure out how to do this at a higher level. This is what I would do if I would, let's say I was at Oklahoma State University recently. I could easily, if I were a talented artist, that I was a producer, or artists, you have producer friends anyway, I was straight up, and it depends on how niche you could be. You could decide, you know what, I'm doing a song for OK State. I'm just creating a song or rap about OK State. And then I'm sending it to the university, or I'm sending it to the most popular organization at the university. Or I'm an alpha, whether it be alphas, kappas, or AKAs, whatever. You could decide, you know what? Or maybe it's ASAs, maybe it's Tri-Sigs. It really doesn't matter. You create a song for the biggest sorority on said campus. You send it to them just off their strength. What do you think is going to happen? They're going to play it at a party. Someone's going to love it. And not only are they going to put someone else, they're going to want their own song. Oh, and that costs. And what people don't also understand, Greek life budgets, I'll just say Greek life they have budgets too. So, for example, said organization, I'll use Oklahoma State because I was just there. They bring me in. Okay, cool. It's possible that a sorority from that campus could have seen me speak and be like, we want you to come speak for our sorority retention or recruitment or whatever. That's happened. They have money. Or I'm saying all that to say that Yo, you could literally monetize. Now think about all the different organizations on whatever campuses. Now, once you have a template, you could decide, all right, cool, this template is for this organization or this is for these organizations. And then you could just literally be making songs and mixes for schools, for school organizations. That well will never run dry.
And if it's a hot song, they're gonna keep running that song.
Anyway, sorry. I was thinking like, yo, I would definitely find the most popular organizations on each campus and I make them a mix. And then the person would bring me in to speak. They have their song. It could be a great opportunity. Again, if you're in that industry.
So Stan, expand on the GOAT activity. Bring us a little bit of more context around that. So tell us about GOAT activity.
Instagram, there's always hashtags. And I've never, went viral or anything, but I always like, people talking about the GOAT, the greatest of all time. And I always tell people like, I'm the GOAT at what I do. Like, that's what I tell folks. So sometimes people feel protective over that word. Who do you think you are saying you're good? Like, everyone tells you you're supposed to be confident until you're too confident for them. You know what I'm saying?
100%.
Yes, I tell folks often, I'm like, yo, you can borrow some of this because I'm working at it all the time.
Bro, I just told one of my clients that yesterday.
Really?
You can borrow some of this belief that I have in you. You might not see it, but the self-belief that I have in you, just take mine, bro.
Take mine. You get it. You ain't got to give it back. And I said, don't let my confidence make you feel uncomfortable. This is for both of us. So finally, I'm like, outside of just saying I'm the GOAT, to be, let's say, more inclusive so other people feel like they can be a part of it, it's what we do. So as we're doing what we do at a high level, it's as you said earlier, it's the activity. So when I see somebody doing something dope, I'm like, yo, that's GOAT activity. Like, that's how we get to being the greatest of all time, because we're working, we're grinding, we're pushing, we're connecting, we're building each other up. That's GOAT activity. And then people can recognize that as something that they want to attain. Like, yeah, that's the kind of activity I want to be on. And that's kind of what I was born into. And I was like, yo, I think I want to create some merch behind it, because I like wearing positive things when I can. And it's cool to wear, let's say, name brands. That's cool. But I think every and any entrepreneur should have something of their own or wear something of someone that they know. Like, to me, it just makes sense.
100%. I definitely agree with you there. I'm definitely going to have to snatch me up some GOAT activity merch.
I'm going to have to shoot you one. GOATactivitygear.com. GOATactivitygear.com.
So what services do you currently provide? Products and services. And then how can people tap into these products and services?
Cool. Launching the Speaker Circle certification program, which is a 4-week intensive program that's going to allow you to have the proper foundation if you're trying to get paid to speak and be a better public speaker in the process. I'm well aware there are speaking programs out there, there are Toastmasters that exist. That's cool. But if you do this certification, you won't need those things. So by the time you decide, I want to join something else, you will be ready. One of the most frustrating things I see from a lot of entrepreneurs or people that want to get started speaking, they don't know how to attract customers if they did have them. If they did have a good story to tell, they don't know who to tell it to. So what this is a collective opportunity for you to go, okay, here's my foundation. Here's who I need to talk to. And here's who can pay me. So in this particular certification, you'll learn how to identify your industry, which is what we talked about, how to market your message, how to promote prosperity, then how to connect to customers. So in the 4-week intensive, that is what people will learn how to do. And it's going to be a great opportunity to get to know me. And they can simply go to thespeakerscircle.club. That's number one, thespeakerscircle.club. And if you want to get to know me a little bit more, you can go to paidtospeakwebinar.com. Again, visit one of those two places, either thespeakerscircle.club or paidtospeakwebinar.com. Go to one of those places. You're probably going to have to, give me your email and name. But then after that, I'm going to give you an offer that you couldn't refuse. If you don't, you're crazy. You're crazy. If you want to hop in the speaker's world or just be a better speaker in general, you absolutely should do this, because there's nothing more frustrating even than having a service and not being able to articulate it to the right people at the right time to pay you the right amount you deserve.
100%, man. So you got those two amazing products that one of them's coming out and one of them's currently out. Is that correct?
Yeah, for sure. So Paid to Speak webinar, it's literally like it's a mini masterclass. It's a mini masterclass. It's 15 minutes long. It's going to give you more in-depth conversation about what I just mentioned about identifying your industry. And then if you're committed, if you're like, yo, I want to do this, I want to do the certification program. If you go there, that is how you can register and grab up a spot for the certification program.
100%. And when does that certification kick off?
The first one is September 20th. September 20th is the first certification program. It's going to be a cohort, 4 weeks long, 2 hours once a week. If you're not able to make it live, you'll absolutely get the recording. And then every other month from that moment, we'll have a new cohort that's going to pop out. And it'll be 20 seats available in each cohort right now, because I want to make sure that everyone gets the appropriate amount of attention, as well as working with my team to make sure they're ready, locked, and loaded.
And that's the one that I think you and I talked about, right?
Yeah, absolutely. That's definitely what we're talking about.
I'm in there.
In there. Appreciate that.
I'm in there. And it's September 20th. So basically, what's that? Not next week, but
we got like a week and a half.
So I'm in there. Most people are probably gonna listen to this after that. So
got you.
So tell them a little bit about how amazing that was and how amazing it will be. So once they're able to listen to this and jump into the next cohort, the next 4-week intensive, they can take advantage of it.
Listen, number one, I ain't lying. This was good. Okay. I tell people truthfully but humbly, what you just heard was great. What you just heard, literally, you could go out with what I just told you and establish some kind of foundation of footwork. So just imagine this multiplied by 10, by 20, because I'm literally just going to walk you through like, oh, you're going to say, oh, Stan, should I talk about basket weaving on a mountaintop? We're like, okay, let me hear the brief story. Can you plug that into leadership, diversity, relation? Can you do that? But it's going to give you an opportunity to ask me questions that people are not asking and being candid with you. And I tell people I'm not for everyone, but I'm for the people that want to move forward, that are like, yo, I really want to understand how I can be a better speaker and how I can get paid to speak. So absolutely, when you're listening to this, you don't have to, trip over the keyboard to get to the speakerscircle.club, but it's just going to make sense to at least connect with me on a social media, which is at Stan Pearson II, and see, all right, this is a good fit. I like his vibe. But I'm telling you, beyond a shadow of a doubt, I can teach you how and help you get paid to speak and deliver your message with confidence. And I'll also say that I did all this and I'm not famous. By the definition of many people, I've made an amazing living speaking, and I'm not famous. Most of you listening to this or watching this have never heard me before. You've never seen me before, but I'm great at what I do, and I can teach you how to be great too. And in your voice, which is the other great part about working with me. So I let folks know, like, listen, whether it's, Serena Williams or Gabby Douglas or Michael Jordan, LeBron, Steph Curry, whoever it is your favorite. I want to teach you how to be that in your lane. I'm that in my lane. I don't want you to speak in my voice. I want to teach you how to use your voice to get to where you want to be, so you can have the proper circle to change your life through words.
Yeah, that was amazing, man. I want to thank you so much for this time that you spent with me, viewers, and the listeners. This is Stan Pearson, the #1 public speaking coach. He dropped a lot of gems. So I don't know if you're in the car, at the gym, cooking, just chilling, whatever you're doing, you probably want to rewind this and go back and grab something. Because if you're not ready to take advantage of some of the products and services that he will utilize to help you change your life, you can run this back and put it together for yourself. I feel blessed and grateful to have you on, man. I knew it was going to be fire. I already knew it.
Man, I appreciate you, big.
I already knew it, man. So, this is Brendan Boyd with the ONE THE PRST Podcast. We got the #1 public speaking coach, Stan Pearson. Make sure you tap in. Yeah. And where can they find you on the gram?
At Stan Pearson II, StanPearsonii. Yeah, join me there. Get on the journey with me. If I'm ever traveling, I'll take you on the journey with me, and I try to keep it upbeat, light, and help you keep your mind right.